Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm bringing you another review coming out of the Toronto International Film Festival, and that of course is Piece by Piece, directed by Morgan Neville. And this documentary follows Pharrell Williams' upbringing all the way to music superstardom as a producer, rapper, singer, etc., etc. And I was very excited to see this. For one, Morgan Neville has made some of the most interesting documentaries in the past 10 years or more. He's been consistently putting out so many different documentaries on so many different subjects. Of course, the two that immediately come to mind is his Oscar-winning 20 Feet from Stardom, and of course, Won't You Be My Neighbor, which was one of my absolute favorite films from 2018. And this movie was very interesting just on the premise that it was a Lego version of Pharrell's life. And so obviously, being a big fan of the Lego movie and a lot of stuff that they've come out afterwards with, like Lego Batman, I really wanted to see how this stacked up and how this documentary would have benefited from telling it in this format. And I will say this is one of the most visually innovative documentaries I've seen in a while. I think being able to play within the Lego sandbox really gives Neville a lot of freedom to creatively flesh out a lot of these ideas from a visual standpoint and kind of convey a lot more of Pharrell's internalized thoughts than perhaps you would just from straight talking heads. And I really did love that this movie 100% brought it from the animation standpoint. It looks stellar. All these Lego movies just look absolutely beautiful and polished in all the best ways possible. And I think that there are some really creative ways they're telling the story. Of course, I don't think the story itself being told is that innovative at all. We've seen many like this, but I think following Pharrell was definitely a good call because he's such an interesting subject. He has so many targets he's trying to hit in his career and did so very successfully for the most part. And it's just nice to see his passion of music and where that unbridled love came from through listening to, of course, Stevie Wonder and so many other great artists, and really combining all these musical influences at the time and turning it into something special with the Neptunes and then of course N.E.R.D and then his solo career. There's so many points that this movie is hitting, and I think for the most part it hits them pretty well. I think it does get a little unfocused, like Pharrell was even saying about his career at the height of his powers, but even so, it's really great to see how someone's passion can bring them all the way through, and his persistence is done in such a cool and creative way, and how they kind of display it with the Lego pieces. And of course, you get so many different talking heads from Lego versions of Jay-Z, Snoop Dogg, Kendrick Lamar. I mean, the list goes on and on how many people show up. It's almost a laundry list of who's who in the music industry. And it's really interesting to see all of the people in hip-hop who came out of Virginia Beach, like Timbaland and Missy Elliott and Pusha T. Like, all these people kind of grew up around each other and hung out, and it's just kind of mind-blowing to think about. And then of course when the record company opened right by their school, I mean, that's like a dream come true, and it makes sense that we got all this emerging talent in the hip-hop sphere just being around Virginia Beach in the late 90s. And everyone's association with each other. It really is a beautiful thing to see, and just very surprising in many, many ways. And I also loved that no one knew that this was going to be done in a Lego format. So the talking heads definitely feel still very genuine. And this was a point that they brought up at the Q&A, where both Morgan Neville and Pharrell Williams showed up, which they said he wasn't going to be there, and then they're like, Pharrell Williams. I was like, wait, what? So yes, I was there in the room with Pharrell Williams, and I think hearing him talk and give his perspective on why he wanted to make this in Lego form, because what he said is, basically he brought up the French word for ego, which is spelled L-ego. So of course he wanted to play into that, just from the standpoint of being a play on words, but also how the movie breaks down his ego and how that definitely affected him at certain points of his life, I thought was really interesting. And so intrinsically, I think that is a great idea to execute it in a Lego format, but he also said he wanted to give something to his kids because they love Legos. Him and his wife go all around the world and get Lego sets for their son, and so that was a big part of the reason why he wanted to do it. But one thing that he really said that stood out to me was, as a black man, he wanted to be seen as, you know, a very universal type of figure. So if everyone's Legos, you know, no one's really seeing color in the same way. And I thought that was absolutely brilliant. And I love that the film doesn't shy away either from a lot of the socio-political songs that he was a part of. Like, of course, All Right. I mean, one of the most iconic civil rights anthems in history, of course, by the legendary Kendrick Lamar. And I really do love that the movie was very honest about all this type of stuff that went on in his life. Sure, it's probably a little sugar-coated, as you would expect. I mean, just being in the Lego format in general, you have to reach a very accessible audience. But I think even so, it does so much so effectively. And also, I mean, come on, the soundtrack, you know, is going to be banging. It's covered all these songs from throughout the years, and of course all the songs that he wrote throughout his career, and the songs that he produced and made beats for. And so there's a lot of things going for this film. I just wish all those ideas he conveyed in the Q&A were present in the movie, because it really doesn't quite come across that way. And had that been explained in the movie like he explained it to us afterwards, I think I would have liked this movie even more, because it really does kind of lose its focus for a good chunk of the film. And I'm also not a fan of a lot of the new songs. As great as the soundtrack is, they're pretty conventional, and by conventional I mean even worse than that. So I really was taken aback by a couple of the musical choices in here. But, you know, mad respect to Pharrell. He seems like a brilliant, brilliant guy, and of course a really interesting figure in popular music to make a documentary about. And I'm glad I saw it piece by piece. I know a lot of people are really going to enjoy this one, and I had quite a time in the theater myself watching this. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10, a very strong one at that. This is a very enjoyable animated movie and documentary, but please check it out this weekend if you get the chance. And of course, let me know what you think about it down in the comments below, and please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. I'm almost through with all the TIFF reviews, and I only got 3 more to go, but there's still so much coming out this week that it's going to take a while for me to really be able to nail all of them out like I want to. But be on the lookout for All We Imagine Is Light next, and so many other movies on the horizon. So until the next one, guys, you take it easy, and I'll talk to you later. Don't